I got some new packages in, which is great. I was going to open these up on another day, but I wanted to wait to show you. Oh, look at this. There's like a little centipede in here. Look at this little centipede guy. So those aren't, you know, bad for your soil or anything. They're actually carnivorous, so they will eat other insects. All right, so this is great. This is another package from eBay. I get a lot of my plants on eBay because they have some really interesting varieties that you can't often find in your garden centers. All right, here is the first Hoya. This one is, I think it starts with a P. parvifolia probably. Yep, it's Hoya parvifolia. Nice little guy right here. I have a lot of Hoyas, so I wanted to add this to my Hoya collection. I'll have to do a Hoya care video sometime soon, but yeah, this is a nice little guy. A lot of the Hoyas actually kind of look very similar to one another. Oh, and look, they give me some little pipettes to water the plants, which is pretty good. I'm sure the Hoyas would actually appreciate this because you could easily rot Hoya roots. This one's quite large. Oh yeah, this one's a large one. This is probably the Hoya crassipes. Woo, this is a meaty baby. Look at that. Beautiful. Oh, I like the little white flecking, the silver flecking on this one too. If you get close onto the leaves, you'll be able to see some of the silver flecks. And you'll see, I like sometimes when they don't send it bare root that they send some of the soil because you actually get to see the soil that they're growing the plant in so that you don't like really shock the roots with using a completely different soil. Okay, so I'm gonna put this to the side because that is a little tender, I could feel. Okay, let's see what's next. This one actually I could see before I even open it. Oh, this is a Xerosicyos perrieri. Most people would actually know the other silver dollar plant. This is its relative in the genus. I actually had one of these, a very small one, and I completely let it dry out. Shame on me, but this one is a gorgeous one. Yes, I will try to keep this one in better shape than my last one. What a beautiful succulent plant. I actually don't know if this one is a caudex plant, but a lot of the silver dollar plants that are Xerosicyos actually, if they are grown from seed, will develop a caudex, but if you take it from cutting, will just be a stem and will never grow a caudex. A caudex is, or a caudiciform plant is a type of succulent that has a swollen base for a stem. So oftentimes you'll see a stem that will bow out like this, and it'll be like a really woody base. And that is a type or a form of succulent. Sometimes they'll have succulent leaves, sometimes there'll be succulent stems in the case of like cacti, for instance, and some of them will have like a swollen base, or sometimes they'll have a swollen base and succulent stems. So I'm not sure if this is a caudiciform plant. I'll probably have to do a little bit more research on that, but otherwise very beautiful. I really like that one. Oh, this is a Haworthia. I got this Haworthia just because I loved how vertical it is. This is Haworthia coarctata, and I just really love the form of this. Sometimes you get short on space in plants, and this one is a nice one that grows vertically. And these types of succulents actually grow well back from a south or west facing window. This darker color actually shows that it could grow in slightly less intense light. Actually, probably prefer not that intensive light. So if you like succulents and you don't have a south or western exposure, this would probably do well in an eastern window, or pulled back from a south and west facing window. This one's a new one for me. I think this is a type of, in the cucumber family. Let's see if I could find the name again. I think it starts with an N. This is Neoalsomitra sarcophylla. And I think it's a vining plant. I mean, oh yeah, look at, there's a little tendril right here, a little dried up tendril. If you could see right here where my finger's pointing, a little dried up tendril. So this is a vining plant. I love that it's a succulent vining plant. And I'm pretty sure it's in the cucumber family. I have a lot of even like caudiciform cucumbers that vine. And you know, I like vining plants. Sometimes they just grab onto another plant and then vine up it. So I will have this one right over here. I think I have one more in here. Let me see, maybe that was the last one. Oh, no, yeah, that was the last one. This is a heat pack, and surprisingly, this is actually still warm. These 72-hour heat packs, make sure you request one if you buy anything online and you're in the Northeast or in your cold climate or going through a cold spell. Usually sellers will either put one of these in for free, or you have to pay somewhere between like $1 to $4 for a heat pack. All this paper will be recycled. These packing peanuts, unfortunately, these won't biodegrade, so I'm a little unhappy about this. These are packing peanuts that will biodegrade. I'm sure, because there's so many different varieties of packing peanuts here, that this person actually recycles their packing peanuts and ships things over and over again. So, because it's like a medley of packing peanuts. Yeah, these are made out of carbohydrates. I always like freak people out when I kind of like taste one. People are like, ew, gross. I don't know where that packing peanut has been, but they will dissolve in your mouth and they do taste a little bit like pasta. Okay, so the challenge now is figuring out where to pot all of these. Sometimes I don't pot them right away because, quite frankly, I need to see where they fit in my house. And sometimes I have to move like plants around, and sometimes I plant them with other plants, particularly plants that they would do well with one another. So I actually don't think I'm gonna pot these right away. I think I'm gonna set them on the side. And I'm going to see what I got in my other boxes because I feel like it's Christmas all over again and I got a lot of plants. Okay, so this is from the Potted Elephant. These folks I think are in the Pacific Northwest. Here we go. Their heating pack I think is right here. And oh, look at, you get like stickers. The Potted Elephant. And here we go. Here's two of them. They're kind of taped together down here in a mummy-like fashion. Let me see. They're taped to the box. I'll probably end up using this box to put those plants in as well. Because again, I don't really like to pot my plants usually right away. I usually open them up, let them sit for a while, you know, let them acclimate to the house. So these are Syngoniums chiapense. I've never grown them before, but I like Syngoniums and I do really well with them. And these are really young ones. This one only has one leaf. Probably doesn't look like much to some people, but I think it's a pretty cool plant. It's an aroid, of course. So for people who love aroids, which are philodendrons, rhaphodophoras, monsteras, Syngoniums. Okay. It's a little chilly. This plant feels a little chilly. I did just get it from the USPS, which probably doesn't heat the back of their vehicles. All right, and here's another, his sister, twin, basically right there. So you see those two? It'll be really great. I'll see how they grow out. I might put them in slightly different conditions because, I don't know, I have a really good sense of my house, and sometimes there's certain places in my house where I tend to forget about my plants a little bit more. But maybe I could put them in kind of my northeast facing window and another one towards a little bit away from my southwest facing window. Maybe I'll put one on a sphagnum pole, maybe I won't with the other. And then you get to compare and see how they grow. So I'm gonna put these guys in here, and I'm also going to carefully put these guys in here. Some of the Hoyas actually don't ship very well in the winter months, so you gotta be cautious on whether you wanna buy certain plants in the winter months or even certain plants online, because certain plants don't actually even ship well. Like if I'm thinking, burro's tail, which is a type of sedum, they usually lose all their leaves like right away. But you could take any of those leaves and actually do cuttings and they'll grow right back. Let's see what I have here. Okay, let's see. The heating pack's right here. It's still hot. Oh, okay. Let's see. This is Hoya linearis, which is a very hard one to come by. You pay a little bit like an arm and a leg for it, but this one was cheaper than the rest, and it has roots on it. And this is it. This is really beautiful. I actually saw these in Singapore and Thailand, and this is a really beautiful Hoya. The ones with a little bit of the fuzzy stems are a little bit more difficult to propagate, and they can be a little bit more sensitive in my opinion. So we'll see how this one goes. That is a cool plant. Let's see if there's anything else in here. That is a small, tiny plant for, she must have ran out of boxes for this because I kind of feel like there should be something else in here, but it doesn't look like it. I bought 2 heating packs as well, so just to be careful, because like I said, Hoyas in the winter are a little bit more temperamental. A lot of these heat packs are actually, let me just show you what it is because they tell you to wrap them in here. This is oftentimes just like vermiculite and some polymers that heat up and safe also for the environment, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to carefully put this one in here. I might actually try to pot this one up because that one's so sensitive, and which means I have to find the right kind of pot for it. I might have a pot over here. I might get a small terracotta pot if I have it. Ooh, these are nice. I could either go with something like this or something like this. Yeah, let's do that. Hoyas don't mind to be root bound at all. So I don't even mind putting it in a pretty tiny pot. I get a lot of these from like little succulent cuttings. And I'm gonna take some of this Espoma orchid bark mix because this stuff is really good for epiphytic plants. Epiphytes mean that they grow on other things, oftentimes other plants. And they are typically growing on bark and stuff, so you want sometimes like a little barky mix. So I'm actually going to just throw some of this in here so it's easy to grab. Their bark can be sometimes a little bit too chunky, especially for smaller plants. So I'm actually going to mix it with some other stuff because this is almost like too thick, like that will fill up a lot of space. You could even break it up with your hands. It's pretty easy to break up. And because this is like organic, this bark, it'll eventually break down. And it's with some charcoal and also some big chunky perlite, which is nice. So again, I'm gonna use one of these guys, which this one I kind of cut up for smaller ones. So I'll just use these scissors because you don't need to use that whole one down there. You could just use that one down below so that the mix doesn't fall through to the bottom. And I'm going to carefully try to get this out from this expertly wrapped plastic wrap, protecting these roots. We'll see how extensive these roots are. You could usually buy these unrooted and root them yourself, but I'd rather, quite personally, to buy ones with roots in the middle of winter because it's a lot harder to root plants, even if you're giving them somewhat good conditions in the winter months. Some plants just kind of refuse to root in the winter. I have some peperomia right now under my lights that I took cuttings of, and we'll see how well they root now, being that it's still winter. Okay, this has a nice little wet paper towel. And look at these tiny little roots. Yeah, these guys are rooted. Okay, I'm gonna put this down. You see that the leaf just fell off here. So what I'm going to do is make a nice little soil bed for this. So I'm going to kind of mix some of the soil up because the roots are quite dainty. And I actually have some of this as well. You could see that this is like a little bit of a lot more perlite and clay, turfus, some types of soils like that. So I think this would actually be a really nice mix for some of the Hoya. So I'm gonna start to, grab a little bit down here. Because Hoya roots are, again, very sensitive to overwatering. So you wanna be very mindful of what you're putting them into. Okay, so I'm gonna just lightly put those in. It's such a delicate little plant because some Hoyas, if you compare the other Hoya that I got here, the Hoya crassipes, this one is like a beast, and they get pretty, once they get larger, they get pretty resilient. But this one feels really delicate to me. So I'm gonna take some more of this mix. This is actually a type of bonsai mix, believe it or not. And I do like to use bonsai mix because it uses a little bit more clay and perlite and stone, which I think actually also makes a nice succulent mix, or in this case, a Hoya mix, which requires something that is a little bit more well draining. I'm gonna break up some of this bark as well. Just using my hands. I brought some more tools here. You could use this if you don't want to get your nails dirty. God forbid. There you go. And take some more of these small pieces. And some more chunks of perlite here. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, I'll just give it a little douse of water, not too much. That's about all I have in the watering can too, which is totally fine. And there you go, Hoya linearis. Now I just have to write a little name tag on. Not that I'm gonna forget this one, but hey, you never know. Let me get a pen. I used to do little wood ones, but I have to tell you, as you start to water your plants, they really start to biodegrade. Okay, I do like to have name tags on all my plants. Sometimes you have a lapse and you can't remember the name. There you go, that's really beautiful. I'll probably have this hanging over the edge, but a higher edge because Kippy likes to get at my plants and she'll just go to town on this one. I think I'm gonna put this one in the workroom if we have some space for it. Let me see here, where can I put this one? I could get the Xerosicyos off. This is in, this Xerosicyos is actually in dormancy right now. So I could take this one off and put this one here, along with the other Hoyas. So you see this one, Hoya Eskimo right here. Oh, that's so funny. He lost a lot of his leaves in the middle and started putting leaves out at the end again. I could probably take a cutting of this if I wanted to cut it back. This is my string of hearts. Kalanchoe, here's another Hoya Eskimo. Hoya Fitchii right here. All right, well, we'll keep this caudex down here. You can see that some of my plants already are, a lot of my euphorbia are actually in dormancy right now. So they don't look like much. That's it. And that is my timer because I have a call. Thank God for my timer. I'd forget.